Mm-hmm.
Welcome back. It's our second show of the day, which is pretty awesome. If you didn't know, we opened up with a pre-draft today, and we had two very special guests on, so definitely go check that out. Fluent will be right in, but he's having some technical difficulties, which is why we're late. So don't L host us.
It
But
happens,
today,
H. I
I
mean,
know, I
we can't be perfect all the time. I mean,
know.
we rolling, but it'd be
Yeah,
like
but
that sometimes.
exactly. But you guys, we have there's so much to get into. A lot has happened in the span of whatever 6 or 8 hours since we last saw each other. So what we're
Mm-hmm.
gonna do is we're gonna run through the draft. We'll talk about this Chris Paul trade, and then we'll try to get you guys on to share some of your thoughts, and we'll do a little mini panel style. So, chill,
Yes, dear.
obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Wemby is a Spur. No
Mm-hmm.
surprise there. But then of course at 2, Charlotte decided to go with Brandon Miller. What are
Right.
your thoughts? Was that a surprise? Do you love that fit? Do you hate that fit? What are your thoughts?
I'd much rather them pick Brandon, but I mean, Wimby wasn't a surprise. I was thinking to myself, with all of the paraphernalia of Wimby, can you imagine if the Spurs decided to pick somebody else?
Well, I told you about the guy that bet 60K just for a $300 profit because he was that sure. Like, people went crazy with these bets just
Give a
because.
break. We all knew that he was going there, right? So, we're drafting Brandon. I think he gives them a dynamic that they didn't have. You got a 6'8" small forward who now gives them more wing scoring. So
Right.
now you bring back LaMelo. He's healthy. You got your playmaker and distributor with him. And now you have two building blocks to build around. I really like him with this group. I'm not sure what they're gonna do with Miles Bridges, even if they bring him back. If they don't, you have insurance with Brandon Miller. I think that he can be a really good player in the league. I'm not sure how good, but he kind of gives me, and I said this a couple of days ago, he gives me like a Derek McKee vibe. That's the kind of vibe he gives me. A guy like a bigger version of Derek McKee. I mean, not a bigger version. I'm sorry, a more athletic version of Derek McKee. I like him. I do like him at number 2 with the
What
Charlotte Hornets.
Yeah, no, I definitely think. I mean, I think Scoot would be great anywhere he goes. I think he's going to
Mm-hmm.
make any team better, no doubt about that. But Brandon Miller, like you said, just seems like he has a better fit with what the Charlotte Hornets need.
Yep.
I don't really know. I haven't watched too much of his game, so I don't know what his I guess his skill set are, or what
Mm-hmm.
his best assets are. But either way, what I have seen, I think that's going to be a great fit. And then of course the third pick
Right.
was Scoot to Portland. So I want you to break that down for me, because there's kind of a lot of possibilities of where this thing could go,
Yeah.
which we were talking about right before the show. But yeah, what are you thinking?
So rewind, H. Brandon Miller, number 1, he's buckets.
Okay.
One of the best. He's one of the better one-on-one players in the game, and I think that's going to translate to the pro game. He's
Okay.
one of the best. He's one of the best, not distributors, but transition players, which is also going to translate to the pro game. I think he led all freshmen. He led the SEC in scoring last year.
Wow.
So I think he averaged like 19 a game, something like that. And he led all freshmen, not in the SEC, in Division I, led all freshmen in scoring. So he was buckets. So
Okay.
I think that's going to translate to the next level, because again, we're not coming into a league where it's full of men. A lot of the guys that are in the league are young guys,
Yeah.
right? 20, like if you're a vet and you like 22, as
Yeah.
opposed to, being a vet and you like 28. So he's not that far behind these guys. Now, when you talk about Scoot, you and I spoke about this before the show started. I don't think that it's a bad thing to hold on to Dame for a minute. Not necessarily and you had mentioned to test this out.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the writing's on the wall. I think Dame is on his way out. The young guy is the future. I think him and Simons are the future. But for him to get acclimated to that situation, him play behind Dame, him understand the pro game, and eventually they move on from Dame. And they go. And I think it's more draft picks, because when you got a guy as young as Scoot at 19, 20 years old, you got Simons who's 22 years old. This is the future of my franchise. These two guys are clearly what the future of my franchise is going to look like. So if I'm going there, I'm going to try my best to get draft picks because I think that they're going to sign. I think they're going to re-sign Jeremy Grant. So in addition to him and Scoot, in addition to Jeremy Grant, Scoot, and Simons, this is the future of our franchise. Dame is clearly the odd man out. Now, the idea is, do we trade Dame right now or do we trade Dame during the season? I mean, I'm not going to say that if they don't trade him now, there's no reason to. If they don't trade him now, it's. I'm not going to say it's difficult to see them trading him in the summer, but I call draft night, to be honest with you, H. I call draft night check day. What I mean when I say check day is my pockets are full. Whatever you want, come get it. So this is the prime time to get whatever you want. So once free agency opens up, then it gets a little trickier because I don't really have those bargaining chips like I had in on draft night. I don't have those now. So I think if they were going to move Dame, if they don't do it tonight, and I don't think that they'll get the best deal that they could have possibly gotten had they not done it tonight. But I think Scoot is the future. I think he's a dynamic point guard. I dig his competitiveness. I'm a big fan, H, of guys who will compete. Yeah. I love that more than anything. My skill set at the pro level, if I have the goods, it's going to catch up to the pro level. What I care about is your ability to compete. Are you going to just be a deer in headlights? Or are you going to roll over? Or are you going to get out there and compete and be a better player? And Scoot looks like that kind of guy where his jump shot's going to get better. His ball handling is going to get better because he's going to compete. And who better to learn from than a guy like Dame?
100%. Yeah, he has like an intensity about him, a swag about him, and not that you should ever place your confidence in a lottery pick, but at the same time, he does give off an air of like, I could be your franchise player, and yes. I love that. I guess for me, okay, maybe there's a possibility something happens with Dame tonight, and then those discussions with maybe Zion coming, and they would give Scoot to the Pelicans. But do you think at this point with Portland actually having now acquired Scoot, I just don't think you would ever give him up, especially when you said Dame's time here is probably just done. We start over. This thing, that's not a possibility probably.
And again, H, we're talking about draft night, aka check day. So this is probably the night where you're going to get your best deal, right? So to move off of Zion to Portland, well, if that's not going to get done tonight, I'm having a difficult time believing that it's going to get done moving forward because it just doesn't really make sense for the Trailblazers. It doesn't really make sense. Not necessarily for New Orleans. It just doesn't make sense for the Trailblazers. I understand that they're going to be younger, so you're going to have Dame, so you're going to have Scoot, you're going to have Simons, you're going to have Sharp, right? You're going to have Jeremy Grant.
I always forget about Shaden, but that is such
you're going to have Sharp,
solid little core. I love that.
They're going to have that. Now, if you add Zion to that mix, it does make sense on the level of us being young.
Yeah.
But with Dame moving on, is that the best deal you can get? So you put Dame and CJ back together down in New Orleans with Brandon Ingram. I mean, does that move the needle for them? I mean, you put all you're doing is putting Dame on a playoff team. I don't necessarily think that they're the best team in the Western Conference. Now, I understand that all of these moves that you see, basically what you're seeing, H, is you're seeing a lot of teams looking at Denver going, we're not convinced. We think that we can beat you guys.
Right.
So, but I don't think that moving Dame to New Orleans for Zion pushes them over the top. I don't think that. And I think more than anything, the Portland Trailblazers are looking for draft capital because we're starting over. We're absolutely starting over.
I was curious because I was going to check Dame's Twitter because I was like, what's the I'm sure Dame would like welcome and Scoot to the franchise, but at the same time in his mind, he's probably like, okay, where am I sitting at? So somebody definitely check his Twitter and see what the word is there. But and then we had, okay, so who went fourth? That was
Thompson.
Oh, so it was it was 4th and 5th. They got
They
drafted right
went back
after
to back.
each other, which has
Yes,
never
ma'am.
happened before. We saw that Lonzo and then LaMelo in 2 separate draft classes went 2nd and 3rd, but this is a first. So, what are your thoughts on them? Do you know much about their game? Do you like
Well,
their Pistons and Rockets? I believe.
I think the Rockets got a really good playmaker. I think that he can be a transition from Kevin Porter Jr. to him. I think that he's a lot smarter, bigger, better distributor, better playmaker, better athlete. And I think with a young piece like that, now don't get me wrong, H, he's really raw in his experience because that league that he played in, I believe it's called Overtime Elite.
Yeah.
What it looks to me like, it looks like a souped up AAU league. That's what it looks like to me.
Definitely does look like.
To be quite honest with you, it looks like a souped up AAU league. So with that being said, this is a pivotal moment for Overtime Elite because if these two guys come into the league and they're not very good, it's
a bad rep, kind of.
Absolutely. It very much, it doesn't ruin it, but it hampers their credibility. Like these are the kind of guys that you're putting out. But I like his upside. This kid Thompson looks like he's going to be something special as a playmaker, as a distributor, as an athlete. And the downside is that he's going to get thrown right into the fire. So this isn't a situation where he's got an opportunity to sit behind somebody because you can almost make the argument that he's better than Kevin Porter Jr. You can almost make that argument that he's better than him. See, you can't do that with Scoot. He ain't better than Dame. So he's not coming in and playing over Dame. Dame is still better than him. In this particular situation, this kid might be better than Kevin Porter Jr. So if he comes in right away, well, we can't do any worse with him, which, wouldn't be a bad thing. But the fact that they're building something down there in Houston, I actually like it. I was surprised that his brother got picked at 5. I thought that they were going to go. I was surprised. I thought that they were going to go with Whitmore from Villanova because I think that he was perfect for what they were doing. We're talking about a bigger, stronger, faster, more physical athlete because that's basically what Thompson is an athlete, right? Yeah. So this kid, Whitmore, playing in the Big East, playing against tougher competition and dominating as a freshman. He was, freshman of the year in the freshman of the year in the Big East. I was surprised that they passed on him for this kid Thompson, who I think his brother, who went to Houston, I do think he's got a better upside. And what I mean when I say a better upside, his skill set, he looks a little bit more advanced as a ball handler. His IQ looks a little bit more advanced than his brother. Now, don't get me wrong, his brother looks to be like he could be something special. But if I had to choose between the two, I'm going with the men from going to Houston. I would have to go with him.
Yeah, I was definitely surprised they took him at 5. I'm not sure what like mock drafts put him as, but it was definitely lower than that.
I saw him at 8. I saw him at 8.
Okay, so just a bit higher. And I was wondering, I was like, so are they trying to make this just like a historical moment? Or I don't think a franchise would buy into that at their own expense. But okay. And then are there any others that, let's see, I'm trying to look up who's been drafted so far, but are there any? It looks like Dallas and OKC just swapped their picks.
So the fact that Indiana and Washington swapped, it looks to me like they really love that kid Bilal.
Yeah, I just saw number 7.
Yeah, it looks like they really love him, and he looks like a really dynamic guard. He looks like a really dynamic guard. I was surprised Anthony Black went as high as he did. I thought that he was. I thought that he was going to go a little bit lower. I wasn't high on him, but I'm obviously sleeping on this kid, right? I watched him a couple of times this season because I really like the big kid for Kentucky, Oscar Schwebe. I really like him, and I watched a couple of. And the kid Black, he really didn't. I'm not going to say he didn't move me. He just looked like a kid who. He could stand to stay in school for another year.
One more year. Yeah.
That's kind of what I felt like.
But I don't know if his skill set sort of follows suit. I haven't watched enough of him. I've only seen a few highlights, but I was definitely I was taken aback that they wanted him. But maybe they think that he's going to be what they need and fit
Right.
right in. I don't know. I don't know what prompted him to do that.
And that's not to say that he doesn't have the goods, H, right?
Yeah,
Because
100%.
don't get me wrong, he was a lottery pick. And I think that he could really I think that he could really fill out in the NBA 100%. He just didn't blow me away with everything that he was doing. He just looked young and he looked like a kid who he could probably stand to play another. He could probably stand to have another season in school. And maybe after this season, he'd be gone. But it was obvious that it was obvious that he was ready right now, obviously.
Yeah.
So
And so explain to me, you probably know this pretty in depth. Uh-oh.
No, you good, H. Keep talking. I'm listening to you. I'm just switching
Oh,
my
you're unplugging?
good.
Okay,
Yep,
so
I hear you.
yeah, so explain to me kind of the draft process, like from the moment that you, I guess, enter the draft.
Mhm.
What is that process then for those guys? Like, does each franchise send out scouts to watch the games, or
Right.
and then are they allowed to come to the practice facility, or like
Mhm.
how does all of that work? Especially
So
for like the lower picks, like
right.
10, 20, 30, like how does that work?
So it's very much like college. Very much
Okay.
like college, where you got scouts in the NBA who they're monitoring a guy throughout the whole year. So there's a scout for the Orlando Magic that's calling back to the front office, telling everybody, yo, there's this kid at Arkansas. His name's Black. And I think this might be our point guard of the future. I'm going to keep an eye on him, right? I'm going to keep an eye on him, and I'm going to find out what his skill set is, what his upside is. So it's very much like the recruiting process in college, where you see a kid like Black, well, he's now on the road and they playing against Kentucky, or well, they're at Tennessee, and the scout for the Orlando Magic or the scout for the Indiana Pacers, these guys are at his games consistently. And while they're at his games, they're doing their homework on him. And once they find out, well, he's going to find out that, if you put your name in the draft, you could probably go in the top 10. Well, turns out he puts his name in the draft, and then now he gets coveted by top 10 picks, where these teams are going to fly him in and they're going to work him out, or very much like the combine and very much like in the NFL Pro Day, they do the same thing where you got a guy who will come to your practice facility and they'll work him out there. But more than likely, they would have him come down to Orlando. We'll put him in our practice facility. We'll show him around. We'll work him out. We'll see what kind of kid he is. And if we like him, some of these workouts, they blow these guys away. And some of these workouts, scouts aren't impressed. So they'll pass on a guy. I think that's what's going on right now, to be honest with you, with Whitmore. I'm surprised that he dropped as far as him. I think he's still on the board. Yeah, he's still on the board. So when you have stuff like that, it's very much like the recruiting process in college. These college scouts, they go around, they find out who this point guard is, they find out who this small forward is. They have a list of guys on their board. Well, I'm going to pay attention to this guy. A prime example, H, would be with Damian Lillard. I'm 100% confident that the head scout for the Portland Trailblazers, because nobody was really checking for Dame at Weber State. I'm going to be honest with you. Nobody was really checking for Dame, which is great. And you know why that's great, H? Because now you got a guy with the Portland Trailblazers who's doing his homework. Right? He's doing his homework, and he's paying attention to who these guys are, and he's calling back to the facility, telling them, listen, I think I found our point guard. I found our point guard for the next 10 years. Well, where is he? Is he in the Pac-12? Is he in the Big 12? No, he's out here at Utah. He's playing at Weber State. Weber State. Yeah. Yes, his name is Damian Lillard, and I want to keep this quiet. I don't want to put this out there.
Right.
Well, they do the same thing with a lot of these players. When you see the guys in the early rounds, a lot of these guys, the early picks in the first round, it's hard to keep that. It's hard to keep that quiet. But when you got guys from schools that aren't that big, right? When you got guys from school like Damian Lillard, for example, playing at Weber State, that's something that we could keep quiet, and not a lot of people will find out about it. There are some people who, the word will get out. Hey, man, I
can't keep their mouth shut.
Right. I heard about you and this. What's going on with this kid at Weber State? I heard that you might be interested in him. No, I don't know what you're talking about. What kid at Weber State? And of course, you got to play dumb, right? But with that being said, H, this is how the draft process works. You bring guys in, work them out. You do homework on them. Find out about their family. Find out about their playing history. Fly them into the facility. Just find out everything that you possibly can about them. And you just move on from there. And there's a list of guys. By the time we get to this point right here, I believe it's called the war room. By the time we get to that point, they've already worked out everybody that they needed to work out. They've seen everybody that they needed to see. They've done the homework that they needed to do. Some of these teams miss, right? Some of these teams do miss because they haven't done enough homework. Some of these teams don't. Some of these teams hit. And I think that they made them. I think that there's a lot of teams that made a mistake passing on Cam Whitmore. I do. Yeah, I do think that.
Is he still on the table?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
He's still on the board. Yeah. He's still on the board.
What's his name? Case and Wallace. Mavs picked him up, but does that mean he went to OKC, or how did that work? OKC just picked first.
OKC, if I'm not mistaken, let's see. We got a Black went to, like I said, Black went to Orlando. We already know that happened. And this kid Bilal from France, he went to the Pacers, which I think that they love him. I
love that. I'm so happy because we were just talking to the guys earlier, and they said, no, he's better than 12. Like, yeah.
Walker went to Houston. Hendricks went to and then Wallace ended up at Kentucky. And it looks Wallace ended up at with the Mavericks, right? And Howard ended up, I think he ended up in Orlando, and Lively ended up with OKC. It doesn't look like that pick has been traded. It looks like they're still there. So, and Gradey Dick just got picked too, by the way.
Who got him?
Gradey Dick he got picked to Toronto. They took him at 13. The Raptors took him at 13.
Wow.
Which I'm actually surprised that they went that route, because don't get me wrong, it's the draft, H.
Yeah. And
with the draft, I mean, we in an era where, you know, fit isn't as important as, you know, just picking the best player. Right? Picking the best player is picking the best player is probably what you see more often than not, as opposed to fit. Because if fit was it, like I said, I think Whitmore would be off the board because I think he fits really well with Detroit. So they're picking the best players. This kid Gradey Dick with this suit, he wow.
Yeah.
Yes, he is wow with that suit though.
I know some of their outfits. I like the suit. Wow with that suit. It's different. But so out of the last, I hear a little echo. Let me unplug this.
I can't hear you, H.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, you hot. Yep, now you're hot.
Out of the last decade or two, can you give me a draft pick that you say, because you say a lot of teams pick badly? Is there one that comes to mind that as soon as you heard it called, you were like, this is not going to work, and everything imploded?
Adam Morrison. I couldn't believe that. I couldn't believe that they passed on Rudy Gay. I was thinking to myself, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Yeah.
Passing on Rudy Gay. I was thinking to myself, what? How would you pass it on? Because at that time, Rudy Gay coming out of college was one of the best players. I understand. I saw how good Adam Morrison was, but I didn't think that he could. No, I didn't. I thought that Rudy Gay was going to be a much better pro than Adam Morrison. I was completely blown away when they passed on Rudy Gay. Passing on Paul Pierce. Paul Pierce dropping to number 10. I was surprised about that because Paul Pierce was nothing but buckets when he was coming out of college. Nothing but buckets. And the fact that he dropped all the way to 10, I was surprised at that when they ended up Jason Terry went in front of him. I understood Mike Bibby. I mean, Mike Bibby was regarded as the best point guard in the country that year. So, and of course, you know, hindsight, looking back, we could say, you know, what were all 12 other teams thinking passing on Kobe Bryant? But you know, at that time,
you didn't know what we knew.
We didn't. You did not know that. We did not know at that time. But looking back on it, you're like,
that was bad.
Yeah, you guys made a mistake. Made a mistake.
So Pels are on the clock. Brian said, thanks for the update. We'll see what goes on there. Is there any possibility that Dame is involved with whatever this is?
No. I don't think so, H. I don't.
Okay.
I think that they may I believe that they're at 14. I'm sorry. I believe that they're at 14 right now, and they're obviously going to get the best player. I think they're going to go with the best player available. I think it's more with with New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really willing. I'm not ready to move on from Zion because there's a part of me, H, that I feel like I could get 55, 60 games out of him. I just do.
You can.
And what I don't want to do is I don't want to move on from him and then come to find out he ends up in Minnesota or he ends up in Portland and he getting 60 games and he's 27-7 and I'm sick. I'm like, oh, if I could have just held on to him. I'm not ready to move on from him yet.
The potential is worth the risk.
It is. It just is, man. It just is.
Yeah, that's kind of what we can kind of segue because we'll come back to what's going on since we're getting into some of the lower picks. But I want to talk about the Chris Paul to Golden State trade. And obviously Jordan Poole is now a Wizard. So they sent him as far away as they possibly could. But it was interesting to me because with Jordan, it's like you invested this much money into him and this much time and all these things. And you even traded Wiseman before you traded Jordan. Like that's where we were. And then all of a sudden you're willing to just let him go. So what do you think? Do you think there were other things going on behind the scenes? Do you think he was just so disgruntled or so unhappy there? He wasn't getting his big boy minutes. So they were like, all right, we're going to package you up and let you go do your own thing on your own team. Why do you think they were willing to let Jordan go in this trade for Chris Paul?
well, first of all, what we can't discount is the incident. The incident made the work environment really toxic. Despite what people saw and him trying to be a team guy, the incident made the work environment really toxic. And it affected his game too. Because we can't go from a guy who last season, I got people telling me that Jordan Poole is going to be Bradley Beal, Donovan Mitchell good. That's what I'm listening to. Like, what's the ceiling on Jordan Poole? Like 26, 27 a game. I'm thinking to myself, well, wait a minute. That's Donovan Mitchell. That's Bradley Beal good. You think he could be that good? Yeah, I think he could be that good. We go from that to he can't even play in the playoffs. He can't even get off the bench. So the incident between him and Draymond, I think that really made this whole dynamic toxic. What it also did, was it sped up the money. So with him getting paid, it definitely sped up the money. It sped up the contract negotiations. Let's get this thing over with just to let him know that we do support him, right? We do support him. We do care about his well-being. Now, once they saw what they saw with this whole dynamic, and this is probably not going to work moving forward, they move off of Jordan Poole. Why are they moving off of Jordan Poole? Because they're ultimately going to pay Draymond. See, Chris Paul's money only is on the books for this season. So it's not like Chris Paul is a guy that you have on your books for the next 3 or 4 years. He's only on the books for this season.
Do you know what that contract is? Is that like 80 mil or?
No, it's only 30.
Oh, wow.
30. He comes off the book. You only got him for 1 year. It's not like you got him for 3 or 4 years. You got him for one season.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. That's it. You got him for one season.
Which is pretty good for him. Like, that's a lot for what he, like, if he shopped around, I don't think he would do much better than that, honestly.
So with that being said, I think Chris Paul's days of being a lead guard on a championship caliber team, there's nobody who realistically thinks that's still viable, considering what his health is over the last 2 years. And when I say what his health is, he's taken a considerable dip. We see him breaking down, and it's like this. It's not like it's quick. It's kind of it's this way. Yeah, where he's completely out of the lineup. So now what you're going to do is you're going to add him, right? You're going to add him to this Golden State Warrior team, which is also with a 35-year-old Steph Curry, who still got the goods. Curry did miss some time last year. Klay Thompson is not who Klay Thompson used to be, clearly. Draymond is in a contract situation, and I think, again, one of the reasons why they moved off of Jordan Poole is because I think they're going to pay Draymond. With that being said, right? With that being said, Chris Paul with this unit, I think that he's so much better as a rotation guard as opposed to the lead guard, because he's the guy who can relieve these guys of minutes. It does look like a real tricky situation, though. And the reason why is because I go from competing against Steph Curry to playing behind Steph Curry. That's very much.
It's such a strange, and
Yeah.
it's not just it's Steph and Chris. Like they have a lot of drama and little scuffles, and so like for Chris
do.
Paul, who's 38, like he's played years and years and years in the league to go behind Steph Curry, like that takes humility like no other. And so, not saying he can't do that, and you know, I was talking with some people earlier about how maybe he's just going to be so grateful to be on a championship worthy maybe roster asterisk. We'll see what happens, but it's still like, okay, you got Chris Paul maybe starting the game for a couple minutes, going in and out of the lineup. We'll see what happens, but then that leaves a question mark of, okay, who's going to play point? Is that going to be Dante DiVincenzo? Is that going to be, I mean, like there's not a lot of options. Will it be Steph? Will it be Dre? Like, I don't know who's going to bring the ball up the court, but and then that also leaves room for, you still need a center. You got to bring maybe another veteran in. I know people are talking about Chris Middleton. I don't think he's necessarily the fit I would pick, but yeah, there's some rumors going around. So
now and again, H, we're talking about a guy in Chris Paul who's a traditional one, right? So he's a dying breed. He's a traditional one. That's not the way that offense is ran. If you remember, it's more of a action, a lot of action off the basketball, a lot of movement. And Draymond is the facilitator. Now, if you take Draymond off the ball and you put Chris Paul on the ball more, that's going to inhibit that's going to inhibit Draymond, because now Draymond is now more of a screen setter. Not only is he more of a screen setter and he doesn't have the ball in his hands, I think you're going to have now Draymond be a decoy. I'm not going to say I won't say a decoy, because a decoy, he's not really fooling anybody. Nobody is looking at Draymond going, well, we got to pay more attention to him. In fact, he's the double team man. But with the ball in his hands, which is what it's been for years, number one, he makes Steph Curry look so much better. He makes Klay Thompson look a lot better. With all of these guys looking better with the basketball in his hands, that enhances his game. Well, now you don't have the ball in his hands, and he's got to play off the basketball, right? So with him playing off the basketball, how does that enhance his game? So this Chris Paul dynamic, it's really tricky. What I don't want to do, H, is I don't want to overrate Chris Paul, right? I don't want to overrate him into one of these guys who is still a lead guard on a championship team. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to minimize, we're going to lessen his minutes to 25 minutes a game. Well, at some point, you're going to need him to play more.
And I think even 25 is pushing it.
Right.
Like, if you want him to last until maybe January, 25 is going to
at some point, you're going to need him to play more, because if he's going to play starter minutes, who's playing behind him? Right.
That's what I'm saying. Dante DiVincenzo, he's the only, maybe Draymond, maybe.
So you're going to need him to play, because you're going to need him to play more. That's more that he's more likely to break down, and we know that that's going to happen. H, that's not something that, well, maybe possibly. We know for a fact that the more he plays, the more likely, him in particular, he's going to break down. I don't love this. Him to the Golden State Warriors. I think that they could have done better. I really liked Porzingis to the Warriors, because I thought he fit perfect for what they were doing.
Oh, it would have been great.
I thought he fit perfect for what you guys were doing. First of all, you got a low post scorer. Not only do you have a low post scorer, you also got a guy who plays the way you guys play, a guy who can stretch the defense, money mid-range game. Now you also have a rim protector. Not only do you have a rim protector, you also got a glass cleaner, and you got a paint presence. I think he would have been perfect for what you guys were doing. Now, he might have been a little bit too expensive moving forward, but I think he would have been perfect for what you guys were doing.
Tell me what the fear is, like this, like phobia that the Warriors have of getting a solid big. Like I love Looney with all my heart, but there's only so much he can do with his, with his height, his size, his body, and his athleticism. So yeah, it's just I don't know. We'll see what happens, but what are your thoughts? Do you think there's a possibility that maybe Chris Paul could be in a middle ground right now that like Sadiq Bey was while they were figuring out what to do with Wiseman and Gary? Do you think Chris Paul could still be moved, or do you think this thing is sealed? It's a done deal. Chris Paul is a dub next season.
There's a part of me, Ace, that wants to believe that they're not done, but I'm having a difficult time seeing somebody else somebody else go, yo, we interested in Chris Paul. I think I think what they're doing with Chris Paul is the same thing that Washington was going to do with him. And because he's on a better team, it's going to look better. What I mean when I say that, what I mean when I say that, is he's on a better team. He could play less minutes and you could showcase him more. So by the time either the trade deadline comes or by January, you can maybe push him out a little bit more. Hey, look what I got.
Yeah.
Maybe you're interested in handing over a first round pick. Maybe you can give me one of those rebounders that you got, as opposed to as of right now. Because when you got when we're right here, H, I think the thing that people remember the most is when you last played. So they remember Chris Paul when he last played, right? And that's why you're giggly about him being on the Warriors roster. You like, what are we doing with this?
I can't believe the karma that's come, because he's my least favorite. Like, no disrespect, Chris Paul, if you watch this, but he's my least favorite player in the league for a lot of reasons. But yeah, Fluent, you made it. You okay?
No, I'm not good.
What's
but I was not.
on?
I refuse. I refuse to give up. I shouldn't be here.
The boogeyman just like popped up. Like the boogeyman just popped up.
Whoa.
Boo. But I've never. I will stop at nothing when I make a commitment. I have a commitment, and so I got no lights. So don't even ask me to turn on the lights. I barely have power. I barely have internet, but I'm here. Mm-hmm. That's my commitment to you.
I got no shoes. My socks got holes in them. My shorts are too small, but I'm on the floor. I'm out.
You're on the floor.
Right. That's tone. That's tone right now.
That's right. So I don't know. I don't know if you got to any super chats. I don't know where you are. I don't know if you made fun of the Raptors taking a dick pic at 13. Excuse me.
They did do that. They did do that though.
Well, now
listen. Y'all don't know this. Y'all don't know this about me. I'm going to give you a little insight that people are going to make fun of. But as you know, I don't care. My all-time favorite movie since I was a little kid was The Wizard of Oz. And my man Grady Dick did wear those ruby red slipper suit. So you know,
what did I say?
Maybe I like him. Maybe I like him.
What did I say about his suit? H? He was looking wild. Did I not say that?
You said
it was a tribute. It was a tribute to the Wizard of Oz because he's from Kansas. He went to Kansas.
Wow.
Wait. So what kind of pick was it?
There's a dick pic at 13.
Proud of that?
Great. Hey.
There you go.
We might be done for the night. That's it. Because there ain't nothing topping that.
We're cutting this thing off now.
I think we're finished. Because that's a mic drop right there.
Well, Fluent, basically
I'm sure everybody's giving me L host in the chat. No problem. Do it, but I'm here. Damn it.
Everybody's asking about it. Everybody want to know where
I appreciate that. I see there's only 3 super chats though. So has the conversation been that good that you've answered all their questions? That's fantastic.
We're informative.
Yeah,
but
okay.
So we covered kind of the first draft, but we can go through again like some of the early picks. Were you surprised with the Brandon Miller to Charlotte?
No, because I had said Brandon, like with the exception of I think they're gonna do something crazy, but if you look back over the last 3-4 weeks, I've said I had Wemba, Miller, Scoot, Thompson twins, and I think I got the first 6 right, and then I got wrong after that. Then I was, but I think those were pretty. They were easy. Like I got the first 6 right. Sure, it was kind of easy, but so I'm not surprised. I think they like their guards, right, in Rozier and Ball, especially if they come. I think Ball's going to be healthy this year, and they needed a forward. So getting a 6'9" athletic small forward to kind of pair with those guys, I think makes a lot of sense for what I think they think is important. Now, I'm not saying it's going to work. I'm not saying they're going to be good, but I'm not surprised at the pick. I feel though, did you see his face when he got picked? You know, people were kind of saying he might have said, you know, Jordan ain't all that kind of as a way to trying to get out of there a little bit. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I feel like he took that as a challenge. He's like, oh, I like this guy's gumption. Let's see if he's like that on the court. So, listen, I know a lot of people don't like him. I think he's going to be with the exception of Wemba, which I'm starting. Listen, I still feel like he's got. I remember what I said. If you go back to my TikTok video, I said in fine print, it says, might be bust, might be possible bust, but in small fine print.
Mm-hmm.
But after talking to Fred and Shima, they starting to like. I didn't know about that toughness, and all the guys that I listened to, right, like the NBA guys were saying, shorter guys, they're gonna go low on him and body him up, and they kind of addressed that today on the show. So I don't know. I'm starting with so I'll say with the exception of him. If there's an echo, I do apologize. Is again nothing I can do.
Good. You hot?
Yeah, we're gonna have to roll with it today. So.
Yeah. With the exception of Wemba, I feel like all of these guys are really like they're hit or miss, which is every draft. But like I really think this draft more than ever, this could go down as one of the deepest drafts. It could go down as one of the kind of weakest drafts. Like that, there's in between
that's
too.
That's the kind of line it is.
Yeah, you never
The
know.
kind of line it is. Yeah, that's
well,
the kind
coming
of line.
into this draft, people remember how they were talking about this draft. They're like, aside from Wemby, this could be kind of I don't want to say mid, but a lighter draft, I guess. And so we'll see if that comes to fruition.
Well, Tone, there have been drafts where we've seen guys and we feel like this guy's going to be good. And we know it even before they step. Prime example would be the 96 draft. You saw Iverson. It was like, Iverson's going to be a baller. I felt like Marcus Camby was going to be really good, right? I felt like Ray Allen was going to be really good. There was plenty of guys in that draft. Even Steve Nash, who I didn't really know much about. I mean, I caught him in the tournament when they dropped Arizona. I didn't know much about Steve Nash, but I felt like he was going to be good. When I see these guys early, I'm thinking to myself, like Black, for example, and I was telling this to H earlier, Tone, that he looks to me like a kid who
Black. That was up until Black at 6. Yes, that's
right.
That's what it was.
He looks to me like a kid who I think he could have stood to go to school for one more year. As good as skilled as he is, as dynamic as he is, I still think he could have stood to go to school for one more year. I'm not sure if he's ready.
Did it shock you? There's so many firsts. Did it shock you that 4 out of the first 5 didn't go to college?
Right. I was thinking that too. But, we remember, Tone, we're in a different space now. The best 3 players in the NBA are international players. So this is where we are in the league today, as opposed to, you knew that the SEC player of the year was the number 1 overall pick, right? We knew that, which is Brandon Miller. He was a lottery pick back then. The ACC player of the year was a lottery pick. Now we in a space where a guy like Anthony Black, who's 11 points a game, goes in the first 6 guys. Like, wow, is this guy ready or is he not ready? Which one is it? So, I mean, like I said, I have reservations about a lot of these kids more than I have these players.
Yeah, they're really going with a youth. Like they're going to have to develop players more than I think ever. Interesting. You mentioned the top players aren't from the U.S. First time in NBA history, first overall pick, MVP, Finals MVP, 3 different players from all different countries.
How about that?
And none of them the U.S. None of them the U.S.
Oh, wow!
Yeah, Embiid.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Jokic, and it really shows you. We talked about it in that kind of '92 Dream Team, what it meant for the world, the globalization of basketball. Now you're seeing it, right? Because you forget that was 30 years ago, but you weren't going to see it overnight. But man, you're seeing it now. You really are seeing it now, and you're also seeing something that I never would have expected. Is it's not just NCAA, right? So you got the international player, you got the NCAA player, but now you got Ignite, you got there's the G League, you got OTE. OTE had 2 pick back to back. I know they're twins, but back to back picks from the OTE. Could you have ever imagined 20 years ago, 10 years ago, saying there'd be players picked from some like new league that just, you know what I mean? Like I think it's fantastic for the game, but it's very scary too.
I think this is a make or break year for OTE, because if these Thompson kids don't pan out, I think it destroys their credibility.
Yeah.
And if they do, this enhances what they're doing. So when you have guys like that are pushed to the forefront, like, this thing has to work out, because this is our reputation here. And if we putting out, for lack of a better term, bums, then nobody's going to really take us seriously. But if we're putting out players that are legitimate, that legitimizes us. So this is definitely a watershed year for OT, for Overtime Elite. 100%.
Did you see our guy we were talking about today, Bilal?
Bilal, yeah. He went at 6, right? Or 6 or 8.
No, I think he went 7, but in a trade.
Traded,
so
he traded up.
I think
Pacers,
Indiana
Mhm.
picked him, but they picked him for Washington, who traded up 1, and then
Right.
Washington made their pick for him. Yeah,
Kind of like what Dallas did with Trey and Luka. Very much like that.
No, wasn't Cam Reddish? I guess they did give it. I was going to compare it to Antoine Jameson and Vince Carter.
Okay, that's good too. Yeah,
When they did just the straight, but I don't know. We don't know the details. I don't think of the trade. Listen, I don't know anything. I don't have anything going on right now, so I have no idea. You guys got to tell me what's going on.
Yeah.
I'm in literal darkness.
I know. No, you're good. Yeah, there hasn't been. Somebody said that Thunder got Case and Wallace, so they must have swapped with Dallas, because Dallas drafted him at 10, right?
Yeah, you know what I'm thinking of doing, because I see there's still 400 people here, so it's cool. I don't know what your feeling is. There's only like 2 or 3 super chats. Do you want to just whip through the super chats and then invite people on to talk about what their teams did or what they want their teams to do?
Let's do that.
Are we at that point? Okay,
let's do that.
Yeah, we're at a good point.
Let's do that.
All right, so
let's do that.
So you in the chat, let the L host put the link.
Thanks for bearing with us, guys. And while we're waiting, get those likes up, and also make sure to go check out the pre-draft show, because we talked all about Wemby, got some great insights on kind of his game that we didn't know prior to that. So I definitely recommend going to watch that, share it, like it up, so we can get it out to more people, because we want to let the people know. So
I will say that if I notice that you haven't liked the video, you will not be allowed in. Be allowed in to share your opinion. All right, here we go. First one.
Okay, football CF Candy. Bulls fans, please stop going to the games. This is bad.
Hey man,
that might be the most perfect super chat ever.
Hey, listen, man. Well, first of all, word is Vooch is gonna sign for a hometown discount, so that's something to hang your hat on. But I mean, in terms of what they've done in the draft over the years, I mean, not so much. Kobe White has not turned out to be what I thought he was going to be. I thought he was. Kobe White is another one who I thought, moving forward, he could have very well stood to go to school for another year. I didn't think that he was ready, and the logic of him being, well, he could have been in a better situation. No, he just didn't. He really didn't move me with his game. He did not. So, with what the Bulls are doing, I mean, I think that there's a lot of living in the past with the Chicago Bulls, and this is the problem that we have, Tone. Like the same thing we have with these Boston Celtic fans. These Bulls fans, they think that this is what it should be. So you guys know,
they're living off that 10 years.
That's what they're living off of.
Adrian, who's going to be our first person on because he gave a like, put in our private chat. He's like, you know that the Bulls missed the playoffs last year and had the #1 attendance.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes.
Solid fans, but
yes.
Yeah, not so solid ownership.
All right, Exo Screens. I love my Pistons draft choice is Asar Thompson. Yeah, I'm excited to see how he progresses in both the brothers. I think. I mean, Jay and I were talking about it earlier. How maybe he's a little bit less developed in some areas, but you never know.
What does that team look like next year? Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey, Thompson. Jalen
Duran,
Wiseman, maybe. Like, what is
Mhm.
that starting lineup? What does that look like for Monty Williams? It'll be interesting to see how they piece that together on what moves they make, because they could be like a sneaky good young team, or they could be a just disaster. Like, you know what I know I said that the second time I've said that today, but I feel like there's a lot of teams like that they could be this year's version of like the Cavs a year or so ago when they just surprised everybody, or they could just have the number 1 pick next year.
I don't think that they're going to be a disaster, Tone, because Monty Williams, I don't think he's gonna have that. And Monty is in terms of young guys, I think he'll do a good job in developing guys like Cade, developing guys like Ivy. I think that they're on to something with him, with him in particular. I don't think that they're going to be as bad as everybody thinks. The problem that we had in Phoenix was him and Ayton. That thing just didn't work. I think the mistakes that he made with Ayton, I think it's going to be a little bit different with Wiseman. I think it's going to be a little bit different with Wiseman. And I think
like a dad that learns with the first child.
Yeah.
He kind of sifts through the mistakes, but the second child comes along. He's like, all right, we got a little roll here. I agree. And Wiseman being younger too. Well, actually, how old is Wise now? Is he like 21?
He's been in the league 3 years.
He's still young.
Oh, man.
Been in the league 3 years. So
all right, Jake Thomas, thank you so much for your $20. OKC and Mavs traded picks and dumped Bartons to OKC, and OKC picked Derek Lively for Dallas.
So that did go that way. Okay. All right.
Okay.
I see it.
Interesting.
We'll see how everybody feels. Angie, what's up, fam? Missed last week, but I made it. Yes, we missed you last week.
In the house.
But we're glad you're back.
We saved you a spot. We got you.
Always.
Yep. Yeah, we got you.
All right. So Adrian was supposed to be up first. Adrian dropped off, so I don't know if he had some issues there. We'll if you jump back on, I'll get you on, because here we go. Last one from Angie.
Yes. Wes talked to Paul George about Kobe to Memphis.
Yeah. So Kobe was very much considering going to play for the Memphis Grizzlies. And
Kobe who?
Bean. That Kobe. Bean. Yeah. Bean. Yeah. He was very much. This was during the trade, and Jerry West made it clear to him, do not go play there. No, do not. Of all the places to not play, do not play there. See, everybody, and I remember saying this, and I made the mistake that when Mitch Kupchak ended up getting Gasol, he called up Jerry West. Well, Jerry West was already gone from Memphis, so that's not true. But he did call up Memphis, and he ended up getting Pau Gasol. And with that being said, Kobe Bryant Kobe very much at that point wanted out of the Lakers because of what they were doing. A lot of people, Tone, and this is what bothers me when I hear the Kobe Bryant, the loyalty logic. Number one, in 2004, if the Lakers re-sign Shaq, Bryant is gone. He is out. And the reason why he's out is because the guy that we know today, he was never going to be that guy, because Shaq was never going to take a back seat to him. He was always going to be in the background. That's number one. So then they move forward by 2007, at the end of 2007, where this unit is not developing fast enough. With this unit not developing fast enough, Kobe's legacy is going to be about winning. Y'all ain't serious about winning, and you're not going to waste my prime years. And he wanted out. But Mitch Kupchak made it clear that I'm not going to lose Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant within a 3-year span. I will never get not happening. No way. I'm never getting another job. So this is what I need you to do, my man. Let me work this out. Just sit there and chill out. Let me work this out. And he did. He absolutely did. He gave him the pieces that he needed, necessary in order for him to win. But make no mistake about it, Bryant wanted out. And he didn't, and it wasn't that he was running from the grind. They weren't doing their job. That's all it was at the end of the day. They were not doing their job. And his attitude was, you're not going to waste my prime years. That's not going to happen.
All right. So because I was jumping in and out, FIFA Boy had a super chat apparently that got lost in the matrix that said, I am an L host recently. And I didn't read a super chat earlier. I did put it on the screen, but it wasn't relevant to the two guests. And now a no-show. So I am on the hot seat, and nah, ain't no seat. Ain't no seat. I'm standing.
Very
You guys don't
with us
even know.
today.
I'm standing right now, so they ain't no hot seat. But thank you.
You're standing?
Yeah, it's the worst situation. You don't know what's going on right now. Thoughts on the Lakers picking Jalen Hood, and then we're gonna, I think, and then we'll get to you guys and bring you all out.
Jalen Hood, man. So, who is Jalen Hood? More than anything, right? Who? I was more well versed on the earlier picks. So, we're talking about a Laker team that was in the Western Conference Championship last season. A guy like Jalen Hood, who, I mean, what school? Where'd they get Jalen Hood from? That's number one. And number two, how effective can he be early? Don't get me wrong. Austin Reeves has shown that he could play as a rookie. So you could play as a rookie. The question is what's the plan with this guy moving forward? Because it's not like he's stepping on the floor day one and he's going to be like 20 something a game with James and Anthony Davis. If that's the case, then you might have your guy for the future. And if we don't win in the next year, we could move on from him. So if anything, he's probably a rotation player.
Well, Jalen Hood, good coaching coming out of Indiana. I think he was the freshman of the year for whatever conference he was in there, 13.5 points per game. So he's nice,
Right.
But
not a needle mover.
Especially with the Lakers.
What did you think? What did you think of Austin Reeves? Do you think he was going to be an impactful player? So let's hear it. We have Devo, and I don't know, I'm saying that wrong for sure. Who's going to come and tell us? I don't know who your team is, but tell us who your team is and what is it about? Are you about? Hopefully, we're talking about the draft. Are you happy with what your team did?
Well, I'm here in Oklahoma City, man. So I'm pretty happy with what they did. I think it worked out for both teams. Actually, Dallas needed a big defensive big, and we needed an up-tempo PG. So I like the move.
So does that mean that Shea's moving to the 2?
I would think so.
Okay, so we're gonna move Shea. So we're gonna move Shea to the 2, and we're gonna give him the basketball.
When you average 30, man, you need to be a 2 anyway. If you
do. You do. That's a fact. I can get with that.
The new NBA, just they do have scoring points guards, I guess now. So it's a little bit different, but yes,
you're right. But I've only seen one of them win a title. You feel me?
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
That's fair. Yeah.
But you're feeling good. I mean, what do you think what do you think your depth will be next season? Do you think you'll be a playoff team? Do you think you'll be, a second round exit? What are you feeling?
Honestly, I think we'll be one of the play-in teams. We'll be 7 or 8. Okay. We could surprise some folks in the first round, depending on if injuries are playing a part or whatever. But I don't see us making it out the first round. The West's gonna be tough. Guys teams still making moves.
Yeah,
it's going to be tough to crack the top 5 in the West.
Do you think SGA's kind of great play last season accelerated your expectations, either as a fan or like the team? Like, do you think they were like thinking, hey, we're 2-3 years away, and then SGA plays like that, and they're like, oh, maybe we're a year away?
Absolutely. I mean, I don't think anybody expected SGA to be that good. That fast here, but you can tell he worked on his game and he saw something. He figured something out, man, and he just started killing everybody.
Yeah. And shout out to SJ. Gave us a signed jersey for our fundraiser on the 17th. So
good deal, man. Good deal, man.
Respect. Yeah. Thank you, SGA. Much appreciated.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right.
Well, appreciate it. Good luck next year, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks,
brother. Guys.
I like the Thunder. Bye. I like the Thunder.
Me too.
I do.
All right,
we got
Jamie.
Who's up?
Is it Jamie or is it Jaime?
Oh, maybe it's Jaime.
Yeah, is it Jaime Asworth?
I think it's Jaime.
Yeah, the Heat went with this kid Jaime.
They didn't take Whitmore.
No, they didn't.
He still hasn't been chosen.
That is crazy.
So, is there something we don't know?
There must be. Okay. My co-host for PC baseball, which isn't a thing yet. What's up,
What's up,
PC
dude? I'm
baseball,
so sorry,
PC
man.
Baseball.
It's gonna happen, Fluent. I'm excited.
You'll have to host because I'm not L host.
I got you. I got you, Fluent. I just want to tell you I'm sorry. I've gone through a power outage. I think it was 14 years ago. Oh my god, it was awful. It lasted like 2 days. It was so bad.
It's beautiful out here, except for the mosquitoes. I'm good.
Oh, those mosquitoes are terrible.
Yeah.
So, Golden State, they got the next pick right now. What do you guys want? Yeah.
I want to know how
Maybe.
you.
Hey, maybe.
I want to know how you. Hold on. I want to know how you. I don't know if you talked about this already, so I apologize. I want to know how you and Hailey feel about your Warriors picking up CP. Ouch! 3.
Stop. We're getting rid of him.
You're getting rid of him already?
Yes.
Yeah, Jay and I kind of covered it a tiny bit, but basically my thoughts are, I mean, I'm not excited about it. I've kind of learned to cope with it at this point. It's sunk in, ish. Like it is what it is.
She hates it.
I hate it. I hate it.
The good
How
news
am I
is,
supposed to like go to the game 1 and support Chris Paul in a Warriors jersey? Hell no.
I'm gonna buy you.
Oh, this reminds me of my little brother. I'm telling you,
Chris Paul jersey.
Yeah, this reminds me of my little brother. My mother used to feed us eggs. My brother hated eggs, and I would tease him. You love it. I don't love it. I hate it. It sucks. That's H right now with the Warriors and Chris Paul.
Yeah.
You love it, H. Say it. I don't love it.
No,
I
I know exactly what's gonna happen. H is gonna turn into Ticket with the Lakers when they got LeBron.
Oh my
God. Get them out of here. They're gonna
play
we
for
gotta
the downfall. Playing for the
stop.
downfall.
Wait, because this Ticket still like fans of the old players, but ever since LeBron is a Laker, he hates the Lakers.
I finally got him to admit. No one's giving me credit, by the way, but I finally got him to admit that he hates LeBron so much that he's going to root against his Lakers.
Yeah,
which is ironic because he had his crew. He had the Lakers in the Western Conference Championship before the season started, which they ended up in the Western Conference Championship. But he was praying that they get smoked, which doesn't make much sense.
Unbelievable.
Right. So
okay, so we got. I thought we got somebody, but yeah. Overall, personally, I don't see how it's going to benefit unless if we got another vet maybe, and then keep Draymond. I think we could do something. But the West is good. What is Chris Paul supposed to do? We got Brandon Podziemski.
You have no idea who that is.
No idea. What is he, a center? What is he, a center?
Podziemski.
Podziemski.
He sounds like a center.
He does sound like a Euro center. I like it.
Who ended up with Jordan Hawkins?
He went 16. I think he went 16.
Wizards.
Yeah, I think he.
Cam Whitmore to the Rockets.
He's a good shooter.
Oh,
he is to the Rockets.
Off the bench.
I think he went 16. The kid.
Fluent. Sorry.
No,
Fluent, how do you feel about that? How do you feel about that pick from Toronto?
I'll be honest with you. I thought all those mock drafts and stuff I was seeing, he was going to Houston. So I'm very surprised. I'll be honest. Maybe you guys can tell me more about him. I don't know much about Gradey. Do you guys know much about Gradey? You know, I'm just keeping his first name because I don't want it to get off.
I watched him, and to be honest with you, he doesn't really look that much better than Austin Reeves to me.
So that
he doesn't.
To get a guy like that at 13, 13's actually been a pretty good pick if you think about it. Donovan Mitchell went 13. Yeah. Devin Booker was 13. Kobe Bryant was 13. Sure, there's been some duds, but there's some guys at 13. So I don't know what the Raptors are doing. I question if they know what they're doing. I feel like what happened, and I love Masai. Don't get me wrong. Like as a man, Masai is a incredible human being. But I think him kind of taking a chance, getting Kawhi, winning the title, I think kind of maybe made him feel like, oh, I'm smarter than everybody else. And I think he's overthinking some things. And I think I don't know. I don't know where they're going. Like, this is a flawed roster. It is a coach that we don't know. He might be great. He might be, who knows? He might be David Blatt. He might be Phil Jackson. He might be Doc Rivers. Like, we don't have no idea if he's going to be any good. He could be Steve Nash. You know what I mean? So you have a flawed roster, an an inexperienced coaching staff, and then you make this kind of pick. So it seems like I don't know.
Now,
Guys.
now I will tell you this, H. It's gonna look good early with Chris Paul because Chris Paul is a distributor, right? Chris Paul is a playmaker, so it's gonna look good. His ability to set people up. He's gonna set up Chris. He's gonna set up Klay Thompson. He's gonna set up Steph Curry.
Yeah, they're gonna come out the gate like gangbusters.
It's gonna look great.
It's gonna look great with the way he's setting everybody else up. His health is gonna look good, but then we're gonna get to a point where
round one.
Not even round one, Tone. I'm gonna go a step further. We're gonna be in the regular season. That's where we're gonna be. We're gonna be in the regular season, and we're gonna get into the dog days of the season, and it's not gonna look like what it looked a little while ago. And if you could hurry up and get off of him, once you have him at that space, and like you notice that the car is starting to slow down, you better get it to the gas station really quick because once it breaks down, it completely loses value.
By the way, guys, Brandon Poole designed me is a point guard. He's not a center.
Wow. Okay. All right. We're gonna get.
He was a late invite, by the way, to the draft. He was a late invite. Big time.
I know, Sebastian. You're gonna want to come back on, so you can just say I'm gonna kick you out for a second. I'll bring in our guy from Vancouver. 604. Van City in the house.
What up?
Hello.
What up?
What up? How's the mosquitoes down in the 6? Fluent?
What?
How's the mosquitoes down in the 6?
They're big.
Oh, he's gone.
Oh, he's gone too.
We had him.
Canada is having issues with
are you guys? Actually, I'm not going to say this, but there's some weird stuff going on in the world right now, so be careful.
There's weird stuff going on in the world.
Well, I was going to talk about the submarine situation, but I don't know. I don't think we should get into
submarine. They didn't find it, right? It just disappeared.
They found it. They
did find it.
Well, they found the rubble of it, the remains.
Oh, it got shot. It got blown up. So somebody from another country attacked them and blew them up. That's not suspicious or conspiracy. It's not like it disappeared and showed up on the other side of the world.
Yeah, but it's still. I don't know. I think it's sad.
What you should look into is how the government has released information about UFO sightings.
True.
You should read
but
that.
We're just glossing over that. I've seen that. It's like confirmed.
I'm looking.
Yeah, Fluent, you got to be careful up there.
Oh, you know what? Hold on. I think I have an idea. You guys keep talking. Give me a second. Here, I'll bring Sebastian on. Keep talking.
What's he doing?
So, this kid was a late invite from Santa Clara, and that West Coast Conference, that's not a bad league. In fact, it's a pretty good league. Gonzaga is in that league, and they're clearly the best team in that league. But Gonzaga was in that league. University of San Francisco is in that league. Let's see, who else is in that league? University of San Diego is in that league. That's a pretty good league, and he averaged almost 20 a game. He averaged about 20 a game in that league, right? So with him doing what he was doing, 6'5" guard. Now he might be a better version of what they had with Ty Jerome. I think he's better than him. I do think he's better than Ty Jerome. Now remember, hold on for a second. Let's not talk about Ty like Ty wasn't on the national champion coming out of college, because he wasn't on the national champion at Virginia coming out of school. And he was fantastic coming out of college. Now it didn't really translate to the pro game, but I think this kid is better than him. I do. I think he's a better athlete than him. He looks like he's got a better skill set than him. So I think that would translate a little bit more in that Warrior system than this guy. But he also came from a good league in the West Coast Conference. That's a good league.
To have him as like a bench or third stringer guard to come in when
early,
necessarily early, especially early in the season, and see how he plays. I mean, like you said, Austin Reeves, rookie year. I mean, he had some great moments, and so it couldn't hurt. But it would be nice to get a big of some sort.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. Yeah. You guys aren't shocked we didn't go after a big for our first pick?
What?
You're not shocked that we didn't go after a big for our first pick?
I think at this point we would get a vet. You know, what good is another Wiseman? You're not even going to find somebody near the same level as Wiseman. So I think that, definitely shoot for somebody older and somebody more like Porzingis or more like Brooke Lopez or somebody like that who can come in and immediately make a difference versus, a young guy who's going to
Yeah.
grow him. Looney doesn't have time to help like teach anybody. He's busy
No.
playing 40 minutes a game,
Mhm.
which
Get him
sucks.
some
but
help.
yeah, he needs help for sure. So yeah, we shall
Fluent?
see.
You can't hear you, Fluent.
Can't hear you, Tone.
That's because I didn't,
Yeah.
I said we got Scarborough 905. I'm assuming he's going to talk some Raptors. Hello.
What up? Nope, we had them, but we don't have them.
Everybody.
We had them and we don't have them. So
Chiming
Guys,
in
get
and
those
then
likes up, please. Make sure to
Yes,
get those
sir.
likes up.
jump and then
We're
jumping
slacking.
out.
We got 15 likes.
yes, sir. So one thing about the one thing about the draft show, not necessarily the draft. One thing about the draft is, I mean, of course, we speculate on a lot of these guys, but how many of these guys can you honestly say, looking at them, I think this kid's going to pan out. I think this kid's going to pan out. And the reason why I'm asking that is because, when we were coming up, we saw these guys in college and we saw the kind of game that they had, and we saw them in school for a while. So we anticipated what kind of pros they were going to be. I mean, how many guys do you see in this draft in particular, where you go, this guy's a can't miss, this guy's going to be really good, this guy's going to be really good also?
It's so, but it's hit and miss. Like the obvious ones. Like we knew like LeBron was going to be great. We knew Olajuwon was going to be great. We knew Shaq was going to be great. But I mean, if you look at the drafts, most not every, but most of the top 10 players come from the first kind of 5 picks. But sometimes it's only one, which means 4 of the other 5 just look, they were good, but they weren't exceptional. And that's why it's hit and miss, because you're picking people based on potential, based on a skill set or a talent, but you never know, because if they don't have the work ethic, if they get injured, if there's so many variables, like if they're not in the right system, they don't have the right teammates, the right coach, so many things can go wrong. All right, Van City's back, so let's see if we can. I'm not kicking anybody out, by the way.
Sorry, the Wi-Fi here in school is pretty terrible. Sorry for that.
No worries. All right,
Yeah,
so
I think
who's your team?
Toronto. I mean, there's
team?
no team here, so
No, I didn't know if because of where you were like maybe a Portland fan, or you could just pick a team. Like I'm in Toronto, but I'm a Laker fan, so you never know.
Yeah. I think the Gradey pick is all right. I think they only did it because Fred, like they're still uncertain about what Fred's gonna do, like if he's gonna leave or not. But I think he's good because he's a good shooter, and like Toronto needs shooting, and of course. And I think we're gonna see a lot of dribble handoff with Scotty Barnes, because I think he can like pass the rock a little bit good. That's all. That's how I feel. I haven't watched much of his game, but I did watch like his final 2 games of his season.
I saw Brian's hat, just so you know, and I just figured I'd bring him on because
I don't know if you know who Cowboy Bob is. I told Cowboy Bob, me and Cowboy Bob, we have a relationship, and he knows.
Okay.
He can't come on any of my shows unless he got that hat on. That's the only way that works. He does not have.
He got me on the Walt Frazier tip, basically.
He already know whenever he sees me.
I'm in a mood. I'm in a mood. Like anyone who comes up, I'm bringing everybody on all at once. Like
whenever Cowboy see me, he already know for a fact that in order for him to get on with me, he got to be rocking that hat. If he ain't rocking the hat, he out. He know it.
And I got to show my face.
On top of that, so
give me 1 sec, Sebastian.
The thing is about Cam. They were saying that he was a bad interviewer. He had bad workouts, and his attitude just stunk. That's why he dropped so late. That's what was being said around the league, pretty much. Great. I just wanted to let y'all guys know that. But I'm still listening in, but I'm gonna jump in and out.
He just Houston just took him at 21. I love him in Houston.
Just got him. Yeah,
I love him in Houston. By the way, love him.
Brooklyn's on the clock.
Yeah. And if he would have dropped, there's no way that Brooklyn would have passed on him. I couldn't see it. The logic that he's a bad interviewer, his workouts, that stuff goes in one ear and out the other. For me, it does, because guys like that, they have a chip on their shoulder. Guys like that, they play a different way, and there's gonna be some teams that regret passing on him. Watch.
Yep, and he's gonna be nasty with the Rockets too. That young core in that team.
Yes.
I know Mars is happy. Mars is like, I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna get it in. But
Yes.
I like the draft. I just want the Knicks, to be honest with you, I still want the Knicks to trade Toppin and IQ for the Clippers' 30th pick so we can try to get my dude Jalen Wilson, the small forward from Kansas. That
You
kid
did bring
is
that up.
just,
You did bring that up.
I
I
want
remember
that so bad for my team, but I highly doubt that happens because you know how the Knicks are. We always are mid.
that.
We scared Hailey off, but
Soon as they do one thing good, here come the goofy
I
logic at the
know.
Knicks.
Like
Soon as they
I
do
think
something
this
good.
year we did good last season by getting to the semis, but then now I think the moves we might make or none at all might actually affect us. But everybody don't
Start the clown music. Start the clown music.
Exactly.
Here we go. Here we go. Here we go.
Tay Luke was next up. What you got?
I just wanted to let Chill know how you feel about Nnaji not getting drafted. I know you was kind of high on him on the panel.
Well, it's still early. It's still early, and I think he's a steal, B. I think that this kid is a steal. He might drop to the second round, but even if he drops to the second round, I think he's a steal. The Lakers passing on him, I think they made a mistake. Remember, Cowboy, how I told you about the Knicks passing on Mark Williams in Charlotte?
Yeah, and got Mitchell,
And I feel the same way about the Lakers passing on this kid, James Nnaji. I think that they made a mistake. I think he's a steal. He's going to drop to the second round. If he drops to the second round, he's a steal.
But I want to also ask you about that since you brought up Mitchell. Can we trade Mitchell and who was I gonna say? I was gonna say McBride for Ayton. What you think?
No, because Phoenix ain't going for that.
They're gonna want more if to get Ayton for the. And here's the problem, right? Phoenix is gonna want more than the Knicks are gonna want to give up because the Knicks are gonna want one of the guards. They're not getting. They're not. They're going to give up RJ Barrett. No,
they're not handing over Josh Hart.
You're not giving up Josh Hart. Mitchell, you can probably get Mitchell. The Knicks are probably pushing for Julius Randle for Ayton, but he doesn't really fit. Which again, Phoenix doesn't really have a bunch of players that fit anyway. So maybe they do it. Yeah. But I don't see the fit. They need a center if they give up Ayton, and they need a distributor, unless they really feel Book can play point. I don't think anybody else agrees with them, but
that's why I said we add McBride in there for them, so then that way they can have some type of help there. Because I was saying trade Jones earlier, but nobody believed me that Memphis would give up Jones.
Oh, Tyus Jones, yeah.
Tyus Jones.
What you have, my man, right here in the corner?
HR. Is it HR?
Yeah, it's HR.
Not HR. The one next to him in the corner.
No, that was Tay. Tay was talking about.
Hey man, I just want to let you guys know. All my friends told me that Brandon Miller was going third and Scoot was going second, and Scoot fell to third.
They should have listened to me because now they're more fluent.
Yeah.
You just knew it. It's a very typical Michael Jordan pick, right? It's not the best player. It's the things that he likes in players, which we've proven aren't typically good, right?
I mean, I'm not saying.
Scoot would have made the most sense, right?
No, I think Brandon more ideal.
Brandon Miller's going to be a stud either way. I think he is. But
I agree. I like Brandon Miller. I'm one of the few I think that likes him, but who knows?
He has the KD type.
Then again, I don't like Wemba. So what the hell do I know?
Yeah, I don't know.
We caught you on your phone.
I was just thinking, my Wi-Fi. Well, did you kick me out?
No.
I think my Wi-Fi is down, which is crazy. But also, there's a worldwide power outage right now.
Oh, is that what's going on? Yeah, I got my.
It's that Chris Paul power outage.
Yeah. Power.
Hey, you guys
I'm
traded
in
Jordan
Columbia,
Poole for a
so
senior
I'm in
citizen.
South America. I know what you mean with the Wi-Fi.
Oh yeah, you guys definitely know it down there. Yeah.
That's where you live, Bob?
Yeah, I'm down here right now. I love it out here, man. Food and everything's great. I'm trying to.
That's not what you love about Columbia, you damn liar.
hey, well, we got it. Show Fluent. It's a PG show.
It's a family-friendly show, Fluent.
Exactly. I gotta keep it clean.
Tony's gonna get us killed. Tony's gonna get us killed, dog.
I wanted to ask you guys, what were your guys' thoughts on the Porzingis trade? Did you guys already talk about that to Celtics? Do you think that's good, bad? Letting Brogdon go, Marcus Smart. What's the deal with that?
I thought Brogdon stayed, didn't he?
Brogdon's staying, yeah.
Oh, I thought he got. Oh, he was the. That was the deal prior to.
So originally the deal was the Clippers, the Washington Wizards, and Boston, and the deal fell apart because Brogdon got hurt. So then they added in Memphis. That's how Marcus Smart ended up in Memphis. But Brogdon's still on the crew. And I mentioned this to Tone earlier. I'm not tripping on the fact that Brogdon didn't get traded because I watched Robert Horry get traded. He was in Detroit, and the trade fell through, and he had to go back to Houston. They ended up winning the NBA championship in back-to-back years. So guys will get over that. The logic of you being traded and the logic of the trade being rescinded, I mean, this is part of the business. And Malcolm Brogdon, I think he's going to be running the team one day. He's got general manager written all over him. So I think he's one of the consummate professionals. Add that to the fact that the Clippers, not just the Clippers, this is one of the only years, with the exception of his rookie year, he's played the most games this season since his rook season. And he's played the least amount of minutes this season since his rook year, which coincidentally is one of his most productive years. He won Sixth Man of the Year this year, right? So there's no reason if you're going to put him in a role like that as a reserve, well, he can't be just as productive. It's not like he's looking at the Celtics going, well, they don't want me. Well, that's part of the business. And if you want to come back, this is the role that you're looking at. I love Porzingis with them because Porzingis gives them now, they don't, it's a low post scorer that they didn't have, that now that they have, not just a low post scorer in that offense where you got a mid-range shooter, not only a mid-range shooter, you got a long ball shooter, you got a rim protector, and you got a paint presence that they didn't have. He makes them better, much better. Because so now when you got teams like the Miami Heat playing that zone, so when you had Horford in the middle of that zone, well, now you got KP in the middle of that zone, picking that zone apart, and you got guys like Bam trying to cover him. Good luck.
Yeah, the potential lineup and matchup choices are insane now with Boston.
Good luck.
I want to confirm. H, when you found out about CP being traded? Did you punch the air, or did you punch a wall, or did you hit someone?
Well, no. My boyfriend told me, he was like, dude, he just sent me a picture from Twitter. He just sends it to me, no context. I was like, so I come in here, I'm like,
what are you doing?
Clay, are you serious? And he's like, he said nothing. And so like, obviously it hurts. And I'm disappointed. I'm not even surprised. Like, it is what it is. Like, we had to make some type of move. But Angie, no, I don't think I'm ever gonna. I just don't know how.
Say it. You hate it, H. Would you just say it? Okay. Say it.
I hate it more than anything I've ever hated before. I don't like this. I don't know how am I supposed to root for. Imagine your least favorite player going to your. Imagine your least favorite player going to your team, the team that you've always supported, and then saying, like, I have to root for this dude, like, with all my heart. I've never had a teammate on my team where I truly did not like them. Like, Jordan Poole annoys the living daylights out of me, but I still, like, had love for him. Just so
you know, we have a special guest who took some time off from riding his horses and losing his finals MVP. It's the Serbian sniper.
Hello.
What up?
How are you?
I have a question about the Bucks. Do they have the most pressure to win next season?
No, they don't.
No, they're gonna get dinged.
Maybe the Suns. I think the Suns have the most. Like having
KD
and Bradley Beal.
21. So I don't know.
Now, when you say they were going backwards, why were they going backwards?
Injuries.
Okay, so with injuries, why would they be under the most pressure? It'd be different where they choked in the playoffs.
They might be in the
or
East.
They underperformed in the playoffs, but they were going backwards.
Let me pause it for a second. They might be in the East. They might be in the East with the thing like you said, because they won a chip, then they did take a step back, then they lose to the 8 seed in the first round. So at minimum, they're going to be under some pressure to show like, hey, when healthy, right? Like this year wasn't a sign.
And the games Giannis played, I mean, they were up in the fourth. So like,
they were up in both of those games. In the third quarter, they were up 15 in the third, and in the fourth, they were up, I think, 12. So
yeah, and we got like the reminiscent of old Giannis, like from 2019.
I think Giannis getting hurt. I do think Giannis getting hurt really changed the dynamic of that series, because even though they were up, he didn't play like Giannis in 21. I didn't see the confident Giannis in 21 like I saw. Like I didn't see the confident Giannis in 23 like I saw in 21. The championship Giannis.
Now, do they let Middleton walk or?
Yeah,
but
no,
that's
my question.
Unless they can get a sign and trade. Unless they can get a sign and trade, I think they let him walk.
Who would they trade for? That's what I'm thinking.
The Bucks, honestly, to me, is just the only thing they got to worry about is re-signing their players, and they're fine. They got to re-sign them and basically make sure that they're not injury prone. That's the only thing that they have pressure-wise, because the Bucks are going to repeat. They're going to be in the finals. They keep the team.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, Bucks is the number one.
I would like them
So
to
don't
sign
worry
and
about
trade
it.
Chris Middleton.
I think they need to get younger too.
Yeah,
like,
but
Zach
Middleton, he just
Lovey.
denied 40
Zach
million.
like I think
So that's
Drew
a question.
Holiday's he's regressing as we speak, and so is Middleton. So like,
I wouldn't go as far. I
Damian
mean,
Lillard
yeah,
on the way.
Drew's. How old is Drew? 35. He's 20.
Drew?
2009, right?
Drew's 33, isn't he?
35.
32.
Tone, one more time for the people in the cheap seats. Tone, can you tell us how these super teams, how they fare in the past? How do these?
First of all, there are no such thing as super teams, but for those
Okay.
of you that call the super teams,
Let me rephrase that.
They don't win. They don't win.
So kill his Dame to the Milwaukee Bucks logic. Dead it. Dead it.
Yeah, it's not going to.
There's no reason for Damian Lillard to be in Milwaukee. None.
Here, give me the biggest.
You gotta watch
give me your biggest super teams. Give me your biggest super teams. The only one
Right now.
it's short stint, right? The Warriors when they got KD, but it's 2 years and it's over. LeBron and Wade and Bosh, 4 years, four finals, but 2 chips and then it's over. Like they're very short. They're not sustainable.
Yeah, including the Brooklyn Nets James Harden rental.
Oh, that was
That's not a
That was.
And why are we talking about Damian Lillard to the Milwaukee Bucks like he's the answer? Like we haven't seen Dame flame out in the playoffs. Like Dame is just lights out in the playoffs. They're gonna get Dame. He's gonna come to the
plan.
He hasn't been.
I've never seen him with a guy like Giannis.
Hold on for a second.
keep
It's
Middleton
different. Hold on for a second. It's different. How?
He's got Giannis.
Go ahead one more time. It's different when what?
He's got.
Go ahead, my man. What you saying? It's different. What?
On his squad.
So it's different when he got somebody like Giannis on his squad, even though when he's going up against somebody that's better than him and he gets outplayed. Does that matter or no?
Charlotte
Because
outplayed
he doesn't have to
But
carry
when
the whole
defensive
load. I
focus is
think.
all on you, it's different. You know that, Chill.
The defensive focus was not all on him when they played against Portland, when they played against the Warriors in 19. No, it wasn't.
Yes,
Steph Curry ate his lunch.
Chill.
And when Giannis played the Hornets, he only scored 7 points. So
If you and me are on the
that's
same
regular
team,
season.
Chill, and you posting people up like you do, and you kick it out to me, I'm gonna have much more wide open shots. So I'm gonna.
You are going to have
much
much
more
more.
together.
I'm glad you brought that up, Tone. You are going to have much more wide open shots. Now, how is that going to work when we get later on in the rounds? Like when we get to the Western Conference Championship and we play against better teams, when we get to the Western Conference semis, when we get to the NBA Finals, because you've been known, and I don't mean you specifically, but I'll use you as an example. You've been known to the basket looks a little bit smaller when we get into the later rounds.
So you think it's more of a Dame issue?
Yes.
But I think Giannis can play closer to the basket now. He's starting to get more injury prone and all that. Like you don't got to take it all the way from the perimeter all the time. I think somebody like that, like Dame, will probably force him to play closer to the basket because he's not like starting from the perimeter is not a good thing in the playoffs, especially if they got a wall set up for you. That's how I feel.
I feel like
Only
you're
way
trying
I
to.
can
I
see-
feel
the
like
only-
chill. I feel like you're trying to tell me Dame is a healthy Chris Paul.
Oh my god!
I was gonna say this. I was gonna say this about Dame.
I don't know, man. Dame is a proven playoff
Nah, that's-
performer.
Nah.
crazy.
Let me explain this to you about Dame and Giannis. If Dame and Giannis are to play together with the Bucks, that will be dangerous because the way I would use them is a pick and roll and have Giannis more in the post and actually have him
get in
learn
the
how to
paint.
do a turnaround jump shot. Let him learn how to do
Okay.
some footwork like Hakeem. Let him get down in that
Yeah.
post because to be honest with you, him running at 1,000 miles per hour, teams like Charlotte, who has no real superstars, can slow him down. Just basic defense. Same thing
I
with
love how-
Wembanyama. I like
He tried to
Wembanyama,
run
but to
through
be honest with
people
you,
too
if
much.
I'm playing against Wembanyama, I'm going up and under the basket. I'm gonna use the rim to block out his hands to block my shots. I'm gonna go ahead and drive and take it to him to where he's gonna get into foul trouble. So for me, there's a lot of things that people say, "Oh yeah, he's a good player." No, it's the chemistry. For me to use Dame on the Bucks, pick and roll, down low, pick and pop, kick out. We're gonna have 2-3 options on the opposite side, wide open threes, like nonstop motion. But that's the only way
I
you
love-
can use Dame.
Sure.
And Dame ain't like that
I-
because Dame likes to have the ball in his hand.
What I love is I love the fact that you dudes is talking about offense like the Milwaukee Bucks offense was inefficient, even though they had a top 10 offense last year, and you
They need a
completely
shot
throw
creator,
it.
though.
But they need a shot creator in the
real
process of them.
shot, like-
I'm glad you brought up a shot creator. I'm glad you brought up a shot creator because again, we're talking about a Milwaukee Bucks offense that was in the top 10 last year in the league. But meanwhile, you want to take Drew Holiday off the unit, and you want to put Dame on the unit, and now you're adding a shot creator. Meanwhile, you're losing defensively because Dame ain't slowing nobody down. Nobody. So now what we're going to do on the perimeter is all we're going to do is we just going to start. All we're going to do is we just going to outscore everybody. That's not winning basketball, man. That's not.
I don't think you got to get rid of Drew, though.
I gotta let you know, we might have to cut this short. People are getting knocked out from suspicious.
Yeah.
What is that? Just randomly, just so you know. Just so you know.
So it's like us sitting around having a conversation and people just randomly just
the ghost.
What the hell going on? What's happening?
You know, like
I don't know.
Everybody okay?
You know, like every horror movie where the last person in the line just starts disappearing.
Like what the hell? What's going on?
Chill Town, we got problems because you know in horror movies who go first.
That's the. Hey, I tell you who it is. That's right.
I'm safe.
That's like when the comedian was like, "I'm not gonna say any racist jokes, but how do you say Vin?"
I'll tell you what.
I'll tell you this. I already got my speech ready in the morning when I'm sitting there with the cop telling him, I don't know what happened. They just started disappearing.
That's not going to be my problem. Because I'm not going to find out what that noise is. That's not me. I'm not that dude. No, I'm not going to find out what that noise is. I'm not the one trying to see what that light is over there. No.
Why are people in horror movies so dumb?
No, I'm not doing that.
That's just how it is.
I wonder what that weird noise was in the dark forest.
What is that? No, not going over there. No.
I'm in my backyard and I'm looking behind my back thinking, I just want to make sure nothing sneaks up behind me.
Why you think I got all these lights on, Fluent? I ain't making that.
I got lights. Look, I put them on the generator. That's like I'm not sitting here in the dark. Just getting scared.
Chill.
So what don't you like about Victor there, Fluent? I just wanted to ask you because you said you didn't like Victor that much.
It's not that I don't like Victor. It's that I'm worried about his size, right? Him being like this skinny, tall player that is. It's not like okay. Let me make the comparison.
Cowboy, he thinks he's made of glass.
No.
I don't think that. It's probably because of the bench and he can't add muscle, stuff like that.
Let me. It's not that I think he's made of glass. It's like people are trying to compare his frame to KD, and they're like, "Well, look at what KD can do." But KD, if you think about it, he doesn't really play a physical style. He is a very skillful. He shoots over people, and Wemba, from what I see in France, is like he's got like he tries to dribble and drive past you, and when you play in the NBA, guys are going to body you when you try to do that. And if they try to put him in the post, they're going to get low and hit him in the in the leg in the backside, and that's going to be hard for him to deal with. And my concern is a guy of his stature will struggle to play with the NBA guys because of that. And if he gets and again, he had very small, but he had some injury stuff. So that's what worries me is that he's going to try to do too much. And look, there's some guys that make it skinny 7-footers, but for the most part, they don't. They're injury prone. So that's all I'm saying. I want him to succeed. I want him, and I said this. I don't know if you missed this, right? But it was the same thing I felt about like Chet Holmgren last year. And what happened? He's out for the season. Now, again, he might come back, and that's fine. But the guys that we spoke to today who coached and played with him in France spoke really highly about him and his toughness and his work ethic. So I'm starting to change my view, but I still, let's see him against NBA talent and see. And I hope I'm wrong. I said the same thing on the opposite side about Zion. I said his weight, his inability to kind of land correctly, he doesn't know how to run and jump like to save his body, is going to make him very injury prone. And I hate that I was right about that.
Which I thought was wild as hell when you said that, Tone, but you were 100% right about that.
Right. I wish I was wrong. I wish I was wrong. Yeah, I wish I was wrong.
You're basically saying he's like another Yao, so to speak. He just hasn't played yet. Like the injuries, that's what kind of like that type of career is what worries you.
I feel like the thing is he's so much more skilled than anyone we've seen at this size. But like I wouldn't be surprised if his first few years are like Porzingis, right? Where it's like, oh, we see a lot of really good things, but oh, he's hurt. Oh, really good. Oh, he's hurt. Oh, really good. Oh, hurt. Like I hate to say it, but I wouldn't be surprised if something like that happened.
Okay.
And what they
Chill.
tend to not talk
Go ahead,
about is he actually does have. Sorry, Sebastian. He actually does
No.
have a pretty bad. He has several injuries throughout. A lot of ankle injuries, a lot of leg injuries throughout his career already. So they'll come. Let's just hope it's.
But hey, Steph had ankle issues.
100%. 100%.
Seems to be fine, but he's
Yeah.
6'3" versus 7'4", so it
Yeah.
makes a really big difference, that height, I think,
Yeah.
too.
100%.
The scariest thing I heard about Victor was that they didn't even want him to add weight, like lifting weights or anything like that, because his frame and how big he is, he can't really be doing it like that. Because if he gains weight, he'll be heavy, but then he loses.
They keep him at a
his
certain
speed
weight.
and
Like
Didn't
he's
he
super
make it-
careful about what he eats and everything.
Didn't he make a
Yeah.
joke? Didn't he make a joke where he was
I
like,
can't
why,
bulk up.
why should I bulk up? They should thin down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Whatever you say.
And Chris Murray to the Blazers. Wow.
I know. I didn't even know there was another one. I had no idea. They look like twins. I'm happy
Crazy.
about that. I love that.
And Bob's team is on the clock.
That's what we thought. That's what we thought was going to Sac. I thought he was going to Sacramento. Was Murray?
That would be crazy.
Yeah, I thought he was. I thought he was going to end up going to Sacramento, but that's dope.
Yeah. All right.
Chill,
Well. All right.
What's up,
we'll
y'all?
do one more question and then we're
I feel like Mom's gonna tell us it's time for bed.
What's up, Sebastian?
Oh, man, we can't stay and watch another movie.
All right.
What's
5
up?
more minutes.
What's up, Sebastian?
I gotta ask about Portland. You wouldn't honestly want to see Scoot and Dame go for one season?
No,
Why not?
because I've seen everything that I've seen everything that I'm going to see from Dame. Number one, number two, Simons is developing into quite possibly an all-star, and I don't want to stunt his growth. I don't want to stunt his growth at all. He's already turning. I think when Dame was out of the lineup last season, I think he averaged something like 26 a game with Dame out of the lineup. So he looks like he's becoming an elite guard. So with Scoot sitting behind Dame for a season, that's as far as I'm going. I'm not going any further than that because I think these two guys are the future.
The Kings traded Holmes. That's not a good move. The Kings traded Holmes and the 24 pick to Dallas. I wonder what they're getting.
Interesting.
Dallas is getting away with murder, man. The way they did
They
my
are.
Knicks, how they did that, they pulled that 10th pick from us like that just to get the cash consideration. And now they're even saying that they're allowing Kyrie to go out and explore his options because they just traded with OKC for $22 million off of a contract. So I'm just saying here, like, how is Dallas getting away with this?
Did you see? Did you see Cuban what he said today though that they wanted to re-sign? Did you see that? It was like a tweet. He was talking about how he wanted to re-sign because he didn't want to make another mistake like he did with Brunson.
Which he did. He absolutely made a mistake.
But is
letting
Kyrie
Brunson
that
walk
guy
out.
that you?
Can I be the first one to say, not the first one because I feel other people. We all kind of were like, "Wow, the Knicks paid way too much for Brunson." Man, now we're saying they got to steal.
Underpaid.
Underpaid
for Brunson.
You basically got a fresh pair of sixes for like $50.
Way to earn your paycheck. Way to out earn your paycheck.
I'm glad we got rid of Reddish because we ain't the only team that he didn't work for. Everybody kept saying Knicks don't develop people, but Cam Reddish don't even look good on the Blazers.
Mm-hmm. Knox neither.
Exactly. So I'm gonna let y'all guys go. Thank you for having me on.
Cowboy, be easy, fam.
Always, man. Go New York, go New York, go.
Be easy.
Bye.
All right, yo.
I'll see you guys.
So I'll tell you something funny. Okay, actually.
All right, yo.
Sebastian.
Be easy, brother.
PC baseball, Fluent.
Yes,
PC
sir.
baseball.
PC baseball coming soon.
Mets.
I got to tell you something funny just before we go. So when Cowboy came on, you know how it shows like their full name if they have it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to call it his full name, but he has the exact same name of someone who plays in my, I play like a men's league on Friday nights. He has his name and his camera wasn't on at first. And I'm like, oh, that's really nice. One of the guys, going to tell you how good I still am. And then I see this dude with a cowboy hat. I'm like, that ain't him.
That's not him. No,
I
it's
do
him.
not know you.
No, it's not the dude.
And the whole time in your head, you thought it was.
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay, all right, I got to get him on. He's going to say good things.
Well, we still love we love our PC Brian too. But
yeah, no, absolutely.
yeah. Any last thoughts? It's been a good day. We had 2 shows. Like I said, guys, make sure to go check out the first one. Get the likes up. It's been a long day, but a good day. So
yeah, I'm thinking I'm taking tomorrow off. You gonna take tomorrow off?
I work 24/7. The beauty of sports.
That's what it is. Don't
But
stop.
yeah, you definitely should, Fluent, especially at the power outage.
Who knows what's gonna happen then? Oh
Mm-hmm.
wow! Whoa! Did you think that was? It was like the size of my hand. Okay, I gotta go inside.
All right, you guys. We're gonna shut this thing down. Appreciate y'all.
Thanks for having us tonight. Thanks for hanging out. Hey, drink more water. Love yourselves. Put on a suit. Don't drink and drive. Take it light, but take it.
Whoa!
What was that? Oh my god!
I like that.
It was about that big, Tone.
Did you see?